Yo, what up? Welcome back to another episode of Red Zone in the Lab podcast. And we coming today. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, right? We got the jersey numbers out. Scheduled prediction show is Saturday. We're going to start. We're going to give the overview of our road to 53 today. So that's going to be exciting. We also have an interview with NFL draft analyst Ian Cummings that we're going to play at towards the end of the show. And we got DawgTired, we got Chuck in the building. We about to have a show, man. Stick with us.
When I first stepped into RFK Stadium, I knew I'd found a home. The roar of the fans, the energy of the city, united as one, was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. RFK Stadium was the stage for the world's greatest in sports, culture, and entertainment. All in the heart of our nation's capital. It's time to revive that legacy.
Man, we've been waiting a long time for this, baby. Red Zone in the Lab. Commanders. It's time. Let's get it, homie.
Yo, what up? Again, this is Where Zone in the Lab podcast. All right, let's get right into it, man. The first thing I want to talk about is our fandom pie chart, right? I put that out early in the week and I had to update it because on Riddle Radio this morning, I forgot all about the scheduled release. And I don't know like how you all are with the scheduled release, right? Chuck DawgTired is in the building for the first time. I think both of them are here. DawgTired was here Monday for like 25 seconds and he decided to leave, but neither here nor there. Right? When it comes to the scheduled release, I begin my calendar probably like 18 months, prior to the upcoming year. Right? I cannot finalize my calendar for the year until the schedule is released. Like I don't think my wife is. Sometimes she'll dab in and watch. I don't think she's watching. Right. Our anniversary is in October, and I don't know. We might got a away game, so I got to plan the anniversary around the city. You know what I mean? That we play around our anniversary date. Like, is that is that bad? What do y'all think, bro?
No, I think it makes sense. Since I've been going to the games now for a couple years, as many as I can attend because of Uncle Sam. But I usually try to work my schedule the same way. Like I get in my head, I see what's going on for my job, and then I try to plan out, what games. Like I know I'm coming to at least the first home game. I know if I don't make any other games, that one is what I'm going to. Right. But this year is going to be a little different, right? Because I'm no longer under the shackles of work.
Shackles is crazy.
Sort of, kind of. So my schedule will be more open to attend more games. But what I also realized last year is like, I like going to the games, but I also like being in the confines of four walls watching the game.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. What about you, dog?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot higher success rate than I do in this arena. So if your wife is cool with it, who am I? Yeah, I mean, Chuck is out of the shackles. I am not presently out of the shackles, so I am still adhering to the standards of Uncle Sam. So I have to wait and see, when they're close to wherever I'm at. So this year happens to be one of those years. So I will be present at Glendale. Hope to see some of y'all out there. I know Deuce won't be there, but
No,
Hopefully-
no. It depends when the game is.
Oh, that's true. That's right. You got
Like, I'm
you
not
got
going to
temperature
September.
restrictions. Like you got.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as you say, there are levels to fandom, and some of those levels have variables attached to them.
Right. So let's talk about it. Right. Here's my Commanders fandom pie chart. Right. And you probably need like a couple days to do your, like, if anyone is out there, if you want this graphic, just send me your percentages and I'll do it for you. Right. These are my percentages. So let me see. And this is looking at it holistically, like the full NFL season, not just because right now, like jerseys probably be like, I don't know, 40% or whatever, because that's all we actually have right now, right? So this is looking at it based off a whole year, right? So for me, when it comes to jerseys, looking at it for the whole year, it's only 1%, right? Like I don't really, in that sense, care about the jersey numbers in a sense, but not saying that I won't talk about it. Like I'll still talk about it, and I'm not going to trash nobody that does love the jersey process, right? Like, but for me, whatever, right? Draft, free agency, fan experience, tailgate, and man, Smoke was talking earlier. He was saying, well, I don't usually tailgate. I sit at home, got my chair. Like it's the same thing. Like that's your fan experience is your chair, your recliner, like your fan pod or your what you call it, man cave, whatever the case. Like that's all part of the experience, right? So that's where that percentage would go. But like for you all, like dog, like what part, like what would you kind of change just kind of looking at this? Like what matters more to you? What matters less in this chart?
What matters more to me? Definitely the games on Sundays. Granted, they're not in person for me, but hopefully a lot more of those soon. In terms of like where I am currently, debating is like a solid 15 to 20%. Because
right.
most of my time is spent, whether it's in spaces, whether it's in the chat on the stream. Like that's where my range is. And within that debate, like the draft, free agency, schedule release, those will fall into that. But debating is probably my biggest piece for sure.
What about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I think the game is probably about, honestly, 75% for me. Dang, maybe I gave it too much.
Okay, so like that you say that. When I first did it, I was like 160 something percent.
Yeah, like I ain't never been good at math and percentages and stuff, so work with me. But anyways, the game, let's go 65%, right? The draft, I honestly don't care about the draft unless it's a high draft pick. Jersey numbers, I only care about it if it's a wide receiver, quarterback, DB. Like the whole, like today, that situation, I didn't really care about a couple people jersey numbers. Everybody else was up in uproar, but tailgating, I feel like that ties into the game for me a little bit. I feel like those hold hands, so I'll keep that at. I can't. Can I keep that? Yeah, I'll keep that at 10%. Content creation, is this for the team or ourselves?
Yeah, just like I know our sales, like what we do.
Yeah. So I would say now that's moved up. It used to be like 3%, but now it's probably like 15%. Honestly, what we do now. Debating, I think what I used to have for debating has gone into content creating, because I no longer, until the season starts, I don't have the energy or patience to be debating people online. Like, I think I just troll now at this point, and I do a good job of it. So
Deuce. So as of today, am I officially in the content creation space.
Yeah, I mean, no, like you got to. Okay, so like two things. The debating 1% for me is like this last month, because prior to last month, it was probably like 10%, 15%, right? But keep in mind, dog, like spaces is content. Like that's content creation. You're literally creating content. Like it's being recorded, it's being saved, it's being referenced, it's being sourced. Like that's content creation. So if we're in spaces 6 hours a day, that's going to be a huge percentage on a huge slice on our pie chart.
Yeah, so I've been a content creator all this time, didn't even know it.
Right? Like even people that post stuff about the Commanders, if you post a stat, if you post none, whatever it is, like that's providing content. Right? All right, so that takes a like actually sit down, because and it might be some slices where you don't need, or you want to add some slices, whatever it is. Like I think it's a fun exercise, because when I first did it, I was just like throwing numbers out there, and I was like, whoa, I got to dial this back. And then it got harder because I had to combine some things, then I had to take out some things, because like when you put it on paper and trying to come up with 100%, you was like, man, I think I do this more than that. Because at first I had the game at 65%, but I had to bring it back down. So, but I think it's a fun exercise. All right, the jersey numbers, Chuck. What you think, man?
Yeah, like I was saying, like I'm fine with all of these. I think I don't think Sonny's just gonna change at all. I think he's just gonna stay 52. I think the quarterback keeps his, the center keeps his. The edge though, 48, he might change his. And the running back might change his. I don't think he's gonna keep 31. I think Williams keeps 14. But I think the running back and the edge, those two numbers are up in the air, and they might change theirs. A lot of people were disappointed that Sonny's not wearing number 6, but I don't think. Someone said he always said he wanted to wear 52 or something after he did one of his interviews. I had to go back and research, but I think he's going to stick with that 52. But I'm fine with it, man, so far.
For me, the 48 is nasty. He has to change that.
Disgusting.
That's just nasty. 66. I'm not sure if the timeline has went crazy over 66, but other people have had that number over the years, right? But they just wasn't, worthy of even discussion. But now, when you have on the front of this poster and you have a rookie center that's possibly going to be in contention to start, now the Joe Jacoby folk is coming out of the woodwork, right? I like the 31 on Catron Island. The Antonio Williams 14 is very interesting. Like I wonder what was the thought press, and I also want to know who requested, because I think who was it? Was it Nick Cross? I think Nick Cross was like, Will Harris wasn't even answering his calls when it came to trying to negotiate to get that 3 off of him, right? So I wonder which one of these rookies try to get a different number, because also keep in mind that these numbers might change. Like I think Sonny might stay with 52, right? I think he's and other vets have also, I think other vets were saying like he should go to a single digit number or whatever. But I think just knowing him, it just seems like he's just going to stick with this number and rock out. Like if Chanel got 54, like it's going to give you that old Rocky McIntosh, and who's that? Kurt Govey. Who's number 54? I forgot who it was. I think it was a dude from the Eagles. Trotter. Was Trotter 54? I forgot. So it's gonna be very interesting. And then
Bobby was 54.
Who was it?
Bobby was 54.
Yeah. And the quarterback, like, who cares? But what you think, dog, of the numbers?
Yeah, for me, like, so to what Chuck was saying, Sonny did say in an interview he wanted a more traditional linebacker number, so 52 makes sense in that regard. I was talking about it in Spaces earlier today. His father, Lorenzo Styles, wore 51. it's relatively close. We did lose a player this past year who also wore 51, so they weren't going to come off that if that was the motivation to be in the same number as his father. And then deep dive, Lorenzo Styles turned 52 this year.
Oh.
Does that have anything to do with it? Who knows? But it was just a thought that I had and came across earlier today. As far as Katron Allen, like 31 isn't a bad number. It's not a great number, but I mean it's not a sexy number, but it's not a bad one. Joshua Josephs has an argument. He needs some sort of different number, a 90 something, because 48 is disgusting. I can't do it. Sure. That's nasty. Joe Jacoby those people have an argument, but I mean, with it being, the Commanders, and we don't really retire numbers like that, or at least in our past we didn't. I don't hate it. If they decide to retire the number at some point, then switch them out. It is what it is. And then I heard a lot of complaints about the Antonio Williams one, and I don't quite understand why. Like, 14's not a bad number. I don't like people have the Ryan Grant things like etched into their brains, but
that's crazy.
I don't have that issue. Like,
right.
We talked about it earlier. Like, Amon-Ra wears 14. Where was the complaint then? But that could just be a fan base thing. But overall, I'm not mad, except for Joshua Joseph. He needs to change that number expeditiously.
Yeah, that number is nasty. There's no getting around that number, right? All right. So our road to 53 is going to start Monday, I believe, and I think we're going to do quarterbacks first because we're going to have to talk about rookie mini camp, right? We're going to have to talk about that on Monday, and the quarterbacks is I think it's 4 players right now, right? No, yeah, 4 players right now. So we're going to start our road to 53 with the quarterbacks next week. But today we're just going to give a overview of what it's going to look like. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have the 91 players, and we have 91 players. We have the international pathway player, I believe, that doesn't count towards the 90-man roster. We have that, and what we're going to do is we're going to have all of those players. It's going to look similar to how it looks on our lads. I'm actually going to try to copy and paste from that. Dog, I don't know if you can help on that end, but we'll talk about that later. And we're just going to what it looks like come Monday, right? We're going to put out first what it looks like for the quarterbacks. What does that quarterback room look like? How do we think that quarterback room is going to end up being once the final 53 is set, right? That's what we're going to do. So we're going to do by position. We're going Monday, Thursday, positions. And then once we're done with each position group, we're going to put everything together. And every week from now until cut day, we're going to make adjustments, right? Somebody comes in, and I'm also going to have player X. I think I'm going to have a couple player X's. So let me ask you all this. Let's start with the offense. Based on the offense, do you have any player X's? Now, the player X is a player that's not currently on the team that you believe will be on the team when it's time to come down to the final 53.
Player X.
Yeah, like you don't have to name the player, but a position group where you think that it's going to be someone. Like for instance, for me, I'm going to have a player X at the wide receiver position.
Agreed. I have a couple names in mind. You don't have to go there today, but I got a couple of those.
Okay, I'll be different then. I'm gonna go DB.
I'm at. AT. All right, so I mean, I have a. Let me see. I think I might have a. Okay, wide receiver. You can't just say DB, Chuck. You got it. You got to name the actual position.
Oh, corner.
I was going to say was some news today that might lead to.
Yeah.
Y'all stay wide receiver. Y'all stay wide receiver.
Yeah. Now you can say more. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I like the Kenny more. I think I like that. So I'm going to say wide receiver, cornerback, and that's it. I think those two are where I'll have a player X fill in a spot.
Yeah, I'm the same.
All right, so for the offense, this is kind of what it looks like on our lads, right? And what's up, Caesar? Caesar says cornerback. Right now, our lads has Terry, Luke, and Antonio Williams, right? When it comes to these wide receivers, and our lads have left wide receiver, right wide receiver, and slot wide receiver. That's pretty much like where I am, right? Like the X, the Z, the slot. I'm really trying to get away from that and really move to, because this is something that Dan has said in one of the press conferences, is that for me, I'm trying to get into a positionless wide receiver group, right? And I know you want to have different skill sets, which I get, but I don't want to pass over someone that has multiple skill sets just because someone may have a skill set that may be better than what they have, but they're able to give me more. Right. So I don't want for it to look like, okay, because Terry and Traylon plays the same position, they can't be on the field at the same time. Does that make sense to y'all?
I'm not the guy that's penciling Traylon onto this team. So like
No. I'm just using him as an example, not this. Like I'm just using him as an example. Like you have two players that play the same position as skill position players, as wide receivers more so. I only going to have one on the field because they're both X receivers. So I only can have one X and one Z. So I'm not going to put the player that's absolutely better than the Z.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not keeping talent off the field based off of, that they're both X receivers. So are they the best dudes on the team? Get them on the field. Figure it out. And like one of the guys that I'm looking at in terms of a player X is like Stephon Diggs, for example. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of he's an X receiver. What is Terry going to do? For me, that's not a problem. Play them on opposite sides of the field. You figure it out. Like, put the egos aside. Do you want to win or not? But that's just me. I'm not taking the talent off the field just because they do the same thing or similar things or play a similar XY role or whatever.
That's why I'm in. What about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I think so far we have a good amount of versatility where only maybe like two guys will get left off in situational, like in certain situations right now, but everyone else can sort of just be plug and play wide receivers wherever they're at. But I don't think anyone has a set spot in the offense right now to where we can say we need him to stay on the field to be the X, or we need him to stay on the field to be the Z,
Yeah, I mean, I'll say so. Like out of this list for the offense, there are certain locks that I could say right now in our locks, right? Terry, Antonio Williams, Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Chris Paul, Nick Allegretti, Met Goblin, Sam Cosmi, Andrew Wiley, Jarvis Connolly, Trent Scott, Chig, John Bates, Ben Simmons, Yankov. Hold that thought. Jade Mariota, Manis, Ja'Cory, Rashad White, Katron Allen. I think those players are locks. Do you see any one of those players not making this team that I named?
From you, Deuce, I'm not surprised, but for most people, might be surprised by the Ben Simmons name being a lock on this team. For those of y'all that don't know me on X, outside of maybe his immediate family, I am the biggest Ben Simmons fan on the planet. I will not hear any arguments. But Ben Simmons is a questionable one for me at this point, just because, I hear a lot of, chatter about him not being a receiving threat, how John Bates is a better blocker than him, which I don't believe, but that's a different conversation. But if I had to take my fan hat off, that might be the one name that I'm looking at. It's like, I don't know. Do I want him to be on this team? Absolutely, because I think he has a lot of talent. He can be used in a lot of ways. I just don't know if the team feels the same way.
What about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at with Ben is like, don't let anyone come in here and outshine you in the least bit. Although it's a new coaching staff, it's just, what I say, you are what you are until,
Now,
and so far, like, we give him a little grace. Like, we haven't seen that much. He hasn't been put in that many situations to succeed, except for blocking situations. And like, we've seen him run like what, I don't know, 7 routes at the most. And then I think a couple, like, one pass was off where he couldn't even get to it, whatever. But, still, you can't just let a guy come in and outshine you. But for any of these players, like any of these old linemen, like we still don't know what the answer is at center, right? Is it supposed to be Allegretti? Is it supposed to be Coleman? Or is it just going to be this new rookie that's on the block and just got picked up? He's just going to come in and shine. Now, me, I go with the rookie. I don't know if you want to hear that, but I'm gonna put the rookie out there.
Right. Yeah, there's no way. Like, I don't want to see Allegretti starting unless he absolutely has to. Right. So for me, when it comes to Ben Simmons, this is where I am with Simmons is he when Adam Peters drafted him, right? And we continue to say this over and over when we talk about Ben Simmons until folk get the message. He envisioned a Kyle Juszczyk role because you watch him at Kansas State. That's absolutely what he gave you, right? A lot of his success came out of the backfield, whether it's pre-snap motion. All of those things came out of the backfield. A lot did come in line, right? But mostly, and that's the same thing with us. Like a lot of his blocks when he spring a block for plus yards or whatever, it's all movement, right? In the backfield, right? Coming out of the backfield. Being under center helps with that. Right. And I think that was one of the disconnects that they had with Cliff last year, right? Because he refused to do that. And that's where he's going to excel the most. Speaking of Ben Simmons, is in an under-centered offense, right? That gives him more opportunities to be in the backfield as H-back, whatever you want to call it, right? This is why I say for 2026, right? Ben Simmons, fullback, Pro Bowl, hashtag, whatever it is, 2026, right? You only competition with like 2 or 3 people, right? So I really believe that this is the role that he's going to play this year is the role Adam Peters envisioned of him for him to be successful. This is why I don't think that they move off of him. Right? I think he wants to see him in his role. And this is what, going into year 3, right? So he's going into year 3. And I think that we're going to see what not so much see him on the field, because that's one thing that a lot of that's one thing that's kind of misinterpreted, is that he doesn't play. He does play, like he plays a lot. He has played a lot, right? He just wasn't getting a lot of targets, right? But he was on the field. He understands the field. He's gotten better at certain small trinkets of the game, right? But we'll see him more where he will be more productive, and it'll be more mirroring what we saw when he was at Kansas State and what Adam Peters envisioned him to be in this offense. That's the reason why I think he's here, DawgTired, and he's not moved, because it's not like he has not been successful, because a lot of times the GM picked him to be a certain to play a certain role that he has not played yet. So for me, I'm thinking, if I'm the GM, I want to see him in this role before I make any decisions on if he is or if he isn't. DawgTired.
That's fair. And I hope that that's the case.
When it comes to the running back room, now the running back room is very interesting, right? Because we have, is RB1 up for grabs? Chuck, we start with you, Chuck. Do you think RB1 is up for grabs?
No.
All right. DawgTired, what do you think?
Simple answer. I think it's a situation where it's not necessarily up for grabs at the beginning of the season, but throughout the season, K-Tron might start getting more snaps, and it's more of an even backfield. But I feel like Bill will get the start to open the season.
Yeah, I think he has every opportunity, right? I also think that depending on how they see this cat, right? Depending on how they see K-Tron, how soon can he adapt to the NFL? It's going to be interesting when for the 53, because keep in mind, for a player to be on a practice squad, or for a team to get if we release him prior to doing the 53, the last cut, if we release him, in order for the only way I think that we're not going to be able to retain him is if a team is signing him to their actual 53. Because once we get him on our 53, I'm sure they're going to protect him. Now, we're just discussing as if he doesn't make the 53 and they release him, right? I think they'll add him to the practice squad and they'll protect him, right? So you get 3 protections that a team can't come in and take him, right? But it's really going to go down to that. We have this conversation a lot. Who do you think will be added to an active roster between K-Tron Allen, Jeremy McNichols, and Jerome Ford, DawgTired, just from what we know right now?
In a situation where they were all available, I feel like K-Tron's the first person they would look to, which is why I don't think they would make him available in terms of cutting him on the cut down day. After that, it's probably Jerome Ford, which I feel like would be the most likely guy to get cut if K-Tron is the fourth back, for lack of a better term, on that 53.
Because I really think, I don't know why, bro, but it's just something about this kid. Like, his confidence could be a little too much, I guess, right? With some of the comparisons that he was set up to give himself, right? Like, you're not going to say, oh yeah, I am Liddell Betts. Like, you're not going to do that, right? But I really think that Young are going to show out like in the preseason and doing camp and things like that. I think he's going to have a lot of all moments, just because of the way that he runs. So I think he makes the 53. And I think it's Jerome Ford. I don't think it's Jeremy McNichols, just based off of what we know now. And I also think Robert Henry would be on the practice squad, because you also want to have, players. And I think whichever one, but I think K-Tron makes the team. But if I don't think Robert Henry's going to make the team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the protections, right? Because you need to have someone that can back up what you already have, right? So there's nothing really behind K-Tron Allen in that sense, right? But him. Crosky Merritt gives you the home run type thing. Rashad White and Jerome Ford kind of gives you the same thing. So I think they'll carry 4 on the active roster. On a 53, and then 3 on the active roster on game day. And then they'll have 1 or maybe 2 running backs on the practice squad. But when it comes to this competition, for me, I don't know. I think Bill is RB1. I think he has to lose it. I think but again, I think it will be running back by committee. But again, we don't know, right? We don't know how it's going to look. And when it comes to Katron Allen, I think more so depending on where the game is, like if we just need to run the clock down, that's something that we didn't have consistently last year because they was going back and forth with Rodriguez, and then he got hurt a couple times. I think that's where you'll see his carries kind of increase as the season move on, if that is the case. All right, so looking at I've got to put the defense up there. Let me do this real quick. So what else you got for the running back room, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, y'all both made very good points. Maybe McNichols is, 1 foot out. He's just here to be a veteran presence in training camp, mini camp, stuff like that. I think it's Bill, and then we go White, and then maybe what RB3 is up for grabs between Ford and what's his name? Well, I can't think right now.
Who are you talking about? Katron Allen?
Yeah, Katron Allen. I don't know why I was thinking Keenan Allen. Anyway. But yeah, Ford and Allen, but maybe they think Allen and Ford could be around the same player style, and then Ford could see his way, making his way to another team. But we'll just have to see how it goes in the off season. But like the plan could just be youth also, like just go with a full hitters team with young running backs and let them, lead the charge, and then see what different ways we can bring in. Like maybe we bring one of them in for like a gadget play or something, like something tricky where they end up throwing the ball or something cool like that. So we'll just have to see.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's the defense. These are the players that I believe are locks, right? And let me know which one of these players you all don't think is locks. Kinlaw, Omenihu, Settle, Newton, Payne, Armstrong, Owe, Leo Chanel, Frankie Louvu, Kane Madrano, Sonny Styles, Jordan McGee, Kalavon, Joseph, Amos, Reeves, Nick Ross, Will Harris, Mikey, Amik, I think I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna stop right there. DawgTired, what you think?
I'm not sure if I missed it, but there was a name that I thought you were going to say that you didn't say. And it's not a name I would say. I thought you were going to mention Quan, but I'm glad you didn't. And I would really want him to earn that spot on this team. As far as the names you named, I don't really have any objections.
Anybody you want to add?
That I'd want to add?
Because, like, I think locks and who is going to be there for the 53 is entirely two different things, right? Like, I think these, and I think I'll make those guys like, I don't know, Red or something, who I think are locks.
And you said Will Harris, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have anybody that I would say is a lot. I think Tyler Owens is somebody that will eventually end up on the roster, but I wouldn't dare put him in as a lot. Not yet.
Right. What about you, Chuck?
I feel the same way. Like I have the people that's just gonna be like extras. That linebacker room is so packed now, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna just have to piggyback off y'all. And then when we do the actual, like, with the practice squad and 3s and 4s, then I'll throw
Yeah,
out
it'd be
some.
better. Like when we put it up, we're gonna put it up on the board. Look
I
at it.
got
Yeah.
I got some hot takes for y'all.
And I can't wait for that. I can't wait till Monday. But yeah, man, like I think people like Percy Butler, I think will make the team. I think KO will make the team. If I do special teams locks, right? We got Tressway, Jake Moody, Drew Stevens, Tyler Ott. Yeah, just with the specials, and we'll do Nick Ballore. I don't even remember them re-signing him, bro.
I don't either. I thought he was gone.
I do not remember.
No idea he was on this roster.
I thought he was gone.
They snuck him in, bro. I don't know. I do not remember. Nick Ballore. That's it, right? Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves, Nick Ballore, and Tyler Owens. I think those guys were kind of like some stud guys on special teams.
About the returners,
huh?
Are we forgetting about the returners, or we don't think they're locked in?
No, I think the return is going to make the team as actual position players.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be like Luke, for instance. I don't think Luke is only going to make the team because what he gives you on kick returns. Like that's not what that is, right? And I think Jalen Lane. Actually, I should have named. I think I did say Jalen Lane as a lock. I think Jalen Lane is a lock too. But I don't think those guys just like. I don't think there's no what's his name, Brandon Banks. Like I don't think we got no Brandon Banks on the squad. That you just cannot. You have to put him on the squad just from how electric he is on specials. He said Nick Ballore most recently re-signed with the Commanders on a 2-year contract on March 13th. Okay. Me a copy and paste. Thanks, Easy. Like I don't remember that. Like, what was I doing March 13th? Because they slid that in there. That's like Bobby just popping up on our lads.
They bet not. But I will give like a slight bit of pushback on the electric player because I feel like Jalen Lane. There's no world where he's not on this roster, specifically because of what he did on special teams. Like he's on specials and putting points on the board. We didn't have that for a while, for the last couple years. So like, if you can have a guy that can do that, and he did it twice last year, I don't see how you could let him get out the door unless somebody you just brought in can do that on a more consistent basis. But
so I absolutely think he's one of the 6, right? But this is the question I asked though. If they bring in another wide receiver, or maybe 2, right? We don't know. Let's say they pushes him to wide receiver 7, right? Just hypothetically, do they keep him because of what he's able to give you in a punt return game?
And that's where I say it depends on who those 2 are. Because if one of those 2 can give you specials also, but they're a better wide receiver, I'll hear it. But if they're just I don't
think it's gonna be nobody though.
That's what I'm saying. Just for
like
name,
Stephon, IU, Jennings, and none of them dudes doing those.
Yeah, if it's Stephon or Ayuk, then it's like you don't have
Definitely
anybody to take his spot, so he's going to be on the team.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting as we get closer to that. That's gonna be interesting for sure. And as far as the specials go, like give me Drew Stevens. Like I don't even want to see Jake Moody. Like I'm not even put. Well, he has to be on there because he's part of the 90, 91, but I'm putting Drew Stevens in there. I'm gonna talk that into existence. I might talk about Drew Stevens every episode. The Drew Stevens segment.
I like the idea of Drew Stevens. Looking at the numbers, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Let the best guy win. How I see it.
Yeah, for sure. And he's clutch too. Like he might miss some, but he's hit. He's got 4 game winners last year, right? Which I really love. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks clutch to me. Yeah. So she wasn't listening, so I don't think she heard what I said earlier about waiting to book our anniversary. So
this time, okay.
Right. All right. So I think that's about it. Like we really just wanted to kind of give an overview of what we're going to do for Monday. We do our road to 53. Definitely tap in with us on Saturday, 6:35. We're going to do a projection show, a schedule projection show on Saturday. That's going to be fun. And then on Monday, we'll be starting off our road to 53, and we'll talk about the rookie mini camps. So I think that's about it. Chuck, you ready for news of the day? Oh, I know he came in. I know he dropped and then came back.
Can you hear me?
Let me see. Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
Sometimes it do that. Sometimes it does that. But dog, you got anything to throw out there? Anything you heard recently? I mean, I think that part about I'm definitely gonna clip that part about the numbers, those connections, which could be something, it might not be something, right? He might talk about it, he might not. So I think
I did have something for both Robert Henry and Kaytron Allen, as far as some numbers. So in this draft class or draft eligible players this year, they were both 3rd and 4th respectively in breakaway yards, with 639 and 527 between the two of them, which is kind of interesting because Kaytron Allen does not strike me as a guy that's going to run away from you, but he put up those 15+ yard runs. So that's an interesting stat that I saw. Yeah, man, I like those two guys. I don't think that, like you said earlier, I don't think Henry ends up making the team. But he's definitely one that I would put a tag on to keep around just to see how he develops, because I've gone through some videos with them, and they both look really promising.
I like both of them. I like runners like that. My favorite all-time running backs, some top 3 all-time, of course, Barry Sanders is one, Mike Allstott, and Jerome Bettis. Like those are my 3 favorite running backs. I also like White. What is his name, bro? I can't think of his first name. The USC cat that ran with Cadillac Williams. What is his name?
Oh,
I mean, Warwick Dunn. It was some White.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Darius, I want to say. Let me check.
Oh, was it Cadillac at USC? I forgot. Lindell White.
Lindell
Lindell White. Yeah. Yeah, I love them too. But those are my 3 favorite. So I like running backs like this, bro. Like I can't wait to watch those dudes in the preseason for sure. Can't
Deuce, this
wait.
might be blasphemous, but one of my favorite running backs to watch, God rest the dead, Marion Barber.
Oh yeah, my
Why,
uncle
bro?
loved him. My
That
uncle
dude-
loved him, bro. Marion the Barbarian. That's all he used to say. Marion the Barbarian. Like he loved him, bro. Like Younger used to run hard, bro. For sure. He used to run hard for sure. All right, man. We got riddle news of the day, and then we got the interview with Ian Cummings. You ready, Chuck?
Let's do it.
It's now time for riddle news of the day.
What's up? News of the day. Let's talk about Paramount Pictures real quick. Shout out to DawgTired for the news info. Following the success of the Michael Jackson biopic, Paramount Pictures and Warner Music Group have closed on a multi-year first look deal that will see both companies partnering on theatrical films drawing on the lives and music of WMG's, that's Warner Music Group, roster of artists and songwriters. Some of the catalog includes Frank Sinatra, Cher, the Eagles, David Bowie, Phil Collins, Fleetwood Mac, Madonna, Dua Lipa, Coldplay, Charlie XCX, Joni Mitchell, Cardi B, Led Zeppelin, and Bruno Mars. So it looks like they're trying to capitalize and keep going with what they struck with the Michael biopic. I don't think it's gonna get as popular. Some of these names aren't as popular as the Michael Jackson. Maybe later on down the line, if they just want to pull from some of these names, like just to get a movie out, just to get some money in. But I think it's just gonna be hard to top like Michael Jackson unless they do a Prince one. If they can get some of Prince rights or lean into his family, see if they're open to doing a movie like that. Which I see you shaking your head. Yeah, that Prince family is strict, man. They don't play around. I'm surprised the Michael movie even got this far, but they had a big hand in it. So
Yeah, his brother was the director.
maybe like a James Brown, maybe like a. But some of these names up here, I don't. Okay, maybe a Frank Sinatra, that'd be a good one.
Frank
Phil
Sinatra,
Collins,
David Bowie.
yeah.
David Bowie would be a good one.
Pull, like a Madonna, she'll pull some. But to try to catch up to that Michael movie, man, it's gonna be a long way to go.
Yeah, this junk going crazy. It's gonna continue to go crazy too, because you got the holiday coming up. You got Mother's Day coming up.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna continue to put numbers out there for sure.
Another sneaky one that was mentioned in there that I don't think will get like a huge draw, but will be a really good movie is the Fleetwood Mac one. If you know anything about that band and all the drama they had in their whole situation, that'd be a really good movie.
Who was that, dog?
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else, man. Like we need some drink that got some drama, bro.
I said
Fleetwood Mac one has a lot of drama in it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, yeah. Like, have they ever done a David Ruffin drink?
Like a solo one?
Yeah, not a solo one. They did the Temptations.
Yeah. Not a solo one though.
Marvin Gaye. That joint, they've been trying to, I mean, so many people said they supposed to play it. They've been trying to get that joint forever, but his family, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like his family is just like Prince family. So that's interesting. Big Luther, Little Luther.
Whoa. Gotta fit them all.
Yes, is the correct answer.
A lot of those old hometown artists for sure, though. Like, definitely bring the crowd in.
Yeah, that 70s and 80s was a wild time, bro.
A lot of people
early 90s.
That stuff uncovered too, so that's probably why.
Did y'all know? I did not know. Like, I mean, it's kind of just switching subjects a little bit, but did y'all know Sean Diddy is paying the guy $2,000 a day because on the Biggie tribute joint, he didn't get permission for the sample that he used. So they took legal action, and it was either he could have pulled or he could have blocked the record or get $2,000 a day. So he chose $2,000 a day for the rest of his life.
Nah, that's crazy.
What record is that?
The sample for the Biggie joint. What's the name of it?
For Juicy?
Not the moment.
The one the tribute to Biggie, the joint after he died.
Oh yeah. I'll be missing you. Okay.
Yeah, that joint.
Oh,
yeah. He actually got the sample. He didn't get permission. Like, how do you not get permission for that, bro?
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? What's up, Los? Phil
crazy.
Collins. Bro, $2,000 a day is insane, bro.
That's crazy.
Like, for the rest of his life. But that tells you how much money that other cat got.
Yeah, that's right.
No, for sure.
Yeah, Sting would be crazy. All right, what else you got?
All right, moving on. We're going to talk about NCAA. All right, so the field of the Division I men's and women's basketball championships will increase from 68 to 76 teams starting in 2027. That's next year, y'all. Creating an additional championship participation opportunities for student athletes and more exciting matchups for the fans. The NCAA also will provide additional financial support for participating schools, increasing the dollars available to both basketball programs and through revenue sharing basketball student athletes. Now, this right here is sort of crazy because it says Division I, but I feel like if you're opening this up to more teams, you gotta find a way to sneak like some of them SWAC MEAC. You know, some of them HBCU teams gotta find a way to sneak into this. Well, is this just a tournament or is this just championship?
No, it's March Madness. So
March Madness.
I had the book. I thought.
And the SWAC and MEAC are in the March Madness pool, so it's just opening up 8 more slots basically.
But it's like a big. It's because they went from. It's like going from 3 games opening weekend to like 12 games. Hold on.
I like it, but
here it goes. So like it goes from 4 total games on the opening round to 12 total games. 4 automatic qualifiers to 12 automatic qualifiers. 4 at-large teams to 12 at-large teams. 2 games per day to 3 games per day. And Dayton, Ohio is also sharing location for the opening round.
Why are these weird places hosting the tournament?
I mean, they've always done it though. I think.
Yeah, Dayton has pretty much a rotating spot every couple years where they have at least one of the regionals there.
I just feel like the East Coast.
And you got to think about it in college basketball terms too, Chuck. Right? Like it's real big there. Then geographically, how these teams kind of fall into place. But I don't do the bracket. I don't do any of that. Like maybe I should. I think I used to do it back in the day, but I ain't really care, right? Like, but they say the people that win is the people that don't know anything.
Yeah, the people that pick their teams based off of a mascot or a color.
Yeah, right. But I think this is a lot of people seems like they're against it. Like a lot of the diehards are against it. Like I said, it goes from 68 to 76, so 4 more games, 8 more teams. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like for me, I guess, right? I guess that gives these other teams opportunities, but at what point are they going to stop? Right? Like, are they going to try to take over the NIT? Because Vegas has something else too, right? DawgTired?
They sure did, and that it drew crowds, but it wasn't anything special because it was like, cool, all these teams that didn't make the tournament are now playing in a separate tournament in Vegas for what exactly?
Yeah.
So it didn't really make much sense, like what they were doing with it. And I feel like that's kind of, when I was reading it, kind of what it was all kind of leading up to is they have all these at-large bids from these major conferences that don't make it in, and you're giving those spots to the conference champions, and people felt slighted by it. And I guess they kind of just said, all right, cool, we'll give you more slots. So the conference champions still get in. And now we have, 8 more slots? So
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's just going to put the conference champions and lower seeds and get them out of the way a lot earlier. That's how I'm seeing it.
What you got, Chuck? Anything else, Chuck? Or maybe he packing his clothes for this weekend. Chuck gonna be in the city this weekend, going to the Defenders game. Yeah, he had to drop out. He'll probably be right back. There you go. All right. Anything else, Chuck?
No, everybody just say, Chuck, stop touching stuff. Stop touching stuff.
It looks like you got some corner stuff here too, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right. We're about to jump to the corner and then we're gonna come back to the interview. But I did want to mention because I see a shoe here. Well, I'll just wait till you talk shoes because I learned something today that I did not know. But that was Riddle Radio. Now we can get to the corner. Like, where's your? Don't you got like an intro? Where's your intro? You put your intro on there yet?
You want the long one in there?
I mean, how long is the intro?
Like 20 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me see it is. You play your intro.
All right.
Because DawgTired, I don't know if you know this yet though, but we're working on a rapid stats. I've been thinking about a rapid stats segment when you get off like 10 rapid stats. 10
I
to
was
15
not aware of
rapid
that,
stats.
but I will keep that in mind.
Y'all just keep talking.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. So we'll have rapid stats, and it's probably going to be more like right now. It'll be something like what you just did with like Katron Allen and Robert Henry. This was some prospects some players that we have now. But once the season start, it'll be rapid stats from the game, and then the Thursday edition will be like rapid stats from our opponent. Just like some odd stats that nobody's really thinking about. And I want to make like more so like next gen type stats because I always forget about next gen. And what's the one with the route trees and stuff? What's that one called?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what that site is called though.
Yeah, I gotta remember what that site is because I know Smokey got a site that he uses. I think that gives you all of those numbers because that's how he was able to get like the Dak the Jalen Hurts over the middle numbers from that website. So I want to start running those off for sure.
Oh, you mean like the one where Marcus Mariota led the NFL in across the middle throws?
Yeah, something like that. But it was like Jalen Hurts never even went across the middle. Something like that. Some stat he had about him going across the middle. All right, Chuck, you ready?
Let's get into it.
God, I just follow his plan. Even when it hurts, I still stand as a man.
All right, y'all. Welcome to the corner where we talk about a little bit of anything and everything. Let me fix this real quick. I want the other one. Boom. Lord. All right, boom. I'll go down here so y'all can see this. All right, so first thing kicking off, this is actually the kickoff weekend for the WNBA. If you didn't know, now you know. This is your weekend to actually catch up and tune into who you want to see. Pick your teams for the season. You get the opening teams and things like that. But we are starting tomorrow, Friday, May 8th, and it's going to go all the way into Sunday, and it's going to keep going on and on after that. So the way I'll do it is Monday, I'll give you like the next 3 games until we get to Thursday, And then after Thursday, I will give you the next couple of games all the way up until Monday. We'll do a quick catch up, and then we'll just go from there. It'll be like a rotating thing every week. So first couple of games, you got Connecticut, very young, spry team. They got a lot of rookies up there. Anissa Morrow, Sanaya Rivers, Olivia Nelson is on that team also. Going against the Liberty, Sabrina, you already know that, Stewie, Satu, she won't be playing. Actually, she is hurt. She has a shoulder injury, so she won't be playing. That game actually kicks us off. Now, the WNBA is still doing these double games, so you'll have to actually choose which one you want to watch first, or watch one game up until halftime and then tune into the other game. But pick which game you want, because some of these games do start at the same time. Next, coming up at the same time, we have the Young Mystics team versus the new expansion team, Toronto Tempo. That's also at 7:30. And then the late game, because they are West Coast, we have the Golden State Valkyries versus the Seattle Storm. If you didn't know, Seattle Storm is the team that picked up Flaw J. Johnson from LSU. The Golden State Valkyries have a lot of overseas players. They have Gabby Williams leading the front on their end. A little bit of news from the Valkyries. They did just let go of Kate Martin. So that's sort of a surprise for some people. A lot of people did not see that coming. They did keep Caitlin Chen from UConn, but they did waive Kate Martin. Moving on to the Saturday slate of games. This is probably going to be a fan favorite right here. It's also going to be on AB. Actually, pause real quick. Okay, so you can get the WNBA app and create a WNBA ID to watch some of these games. Some of these games will be on League Pass. That's what comes with the app. But a lot of these games are going to be on national television. So if you don't want to get the app and pay, I think it's very cheap. It's like $40 for the whole year. But if you don't want to do that, you just want to tune into what comes on for the nationally televised games, you can also do that. Because as you can see, some of these games come on ABC. Some of these games come on NBA TV. Ion is also a channel if you have YouTube TV. I've seen it up there before. So you don't have to get the app. I think it's very good if you want to keep up with players and scores right there at the palm of your hand. But if you don't want another subscription added to your bill, then you can just wait till some of these games come on the nationally televised networks. For those of you that are Indiana Fever fans, as you see here, they play the Dallas Wings with Paige Beckers at 1 o'clock p.m. Saturday. All of Indiana's games, all 44 games, are nationally televised games. So shout out to Fever and their fans. They get to watch all of their games nationally across the global networks. Coming up after that, we have the Phoenix Mercury versus Asia's Las Vegas Aces. And then we have ATL kicking it off against Minnesota at the 8 p.m. spot. That is a League Pass game, so you will need the app to watch that and watch Angel Reese in her first game. Chicago with Rakia Jackson, Skylar Diggins, and the newly acquired Tasha Cloud will be on NBA TV, kicking it off against the new expansion team, Portland Fire. Moving on to the Sunday slate. We do have 1 o'clock p.m. Seattle versus Connecticut. That should be another good game to watch. New York Liberty versus Washington Mystics. Now, I will actually be at this game attending. I will update y'all on how it is, what the atmosphere is like, what I thought of the game. I will update y'all on all that stuff on Monday on the show Monday. And then we have the Aces with basically a back-to-back going at it again against the LA Sparks. And then we have the Phoenix Mercury versus Golden State Valkyries to end off the weekend. So a lot of games, a lot of stuff to watch. If you don't have nothing to do and you really want to tap into women's basketball, just pick one of these games and watch it. Definitely a lot of good basketball to be played. Moving on to what Deuce was going to tap in and talk about is the A2s are out for release, in specific this colorway. It's called Pink Beam or something like that. They run about between 110, 140. They are said to fit better than the A1s. More of like a better basketball shoe themselves. The A1s were seen as more of like a uh I want to say like fashion shoe, but more of like a shoe you would just wear out the house than a basketball shoe. But the A2s have been released, so if you want to get your hands on those, you definitely can. Now the A1s have been marked down a little bit since the A2s have came out. So if you want to get like a cheaper shoe and still show your support, you can definitely go and grab you a pair of A1s. But Deuce, what were you going to say about shoes?
Yeah. So did you all know, and I learned this today, that Anthony Hamilton is part of the Jordan team, and he was part of the team that helped create the Bloodline shoe. Now, I thought that was like Roman Reigns, right? And the Bloodline. But actually, the name came from, I think, the ones where Jordan wore and it bloodied up his toes. That's why they call that line the Bloodline.
Are we talking about Anthony Hamilton, the R&B singer?
The R&B singer. I put it in the chat.
Great.
So it had nothing to do with Roman Reigns at all?
No, I put it in it. Well, like that shoe because the bloodline, blah blah blah. But the actual bloodline of the bloodline line in the Jordan brand actually because of Jordan's. I thought I put it in there. I didn't. I'm gonna put it in there because he has an interview with Shannon Sharp and they talked about it because he's a sneakerhead. Then he got some patent leather joints that got a green bottom. He said there was only one of those pairs. A green gum. The gum part at the bottom is green. Yeah. He said there's only one of those. But yeah, I put it in chat.
Did you tell me you were a Fever fan, or I just guessed you were a Fever fan? I think I guessed you were a Fever fan. But yeah, shout out to Raven. She ended up making the squad. I think that's a very good sneaky pickup for them. I like her game. She's a very solid point guard, straight up and down point guard that plays good defense. So shout out to the Fever.
So can I say how disrespected I feel that the reigning WNBA champs don't get to open the season? That's wild to me. I mean, like we gotta wait for 4 other games before we get to play. Like what?
Y'all plan on prime time though. The first 3 games aren't even on TV.
And put the first game on prime time on Saturday or on Sunday. Not Sunday, Friday. My fault.
Y'all got the 3:00 slate on a Saturday.
But that's still crazy. Like in no other sport does the champion not open the season.
I do. I will say I feel like y'all are one of the most disrespected championship teams we've seen in a while. But I do think, like, I don't know. I'll say y'all disrespected, but at the same time, y'all do get y'all respect. Like for the last 3 years,
we have to come in and take our respect. That's what it is.
Yeah, and y'all did. Like y'all earned it.
and bring my girl Kate Martin back to the Aces since they over there playing.
Yeah, I don't know. Another thing, Aaliyah Nye also didn't make that Toronto Temple team. So a WNBA championship.
We need shooters.
Yeah, granted, she did play a part in the championship team, but it wasn't a big role. She was just a rookie, but she's not on her team right now. But we got Haley Van Lith just got shipped off to Connecticut. Chicago brought Maddie Westbill back on a developmental contract. So I don't know, man. Some of these names, like I thought the W would give out more opportunity with these expansion teams, but it's getting real cutthroat even with the addition of these expansion teams. So I don't know, man.
Didn't they extend the roster by like a couple spots?
I think all they did was add those developmental spots. So they give you 2 spots. And they run like how the NFL does the practice squad. So they can only come up for 12 games, and then after that they can't come up no more. But they can practice with the players and travel with the team.
Oh, so they glorify 2 ways, basically.
Yeah, with no G League. And then I talked about that also. Now I'll move on after this. I don't know if the W right now can support the G League for the WNBA. But I think they have to do something. They have to figure it out with all these other expansion teams coming in And there's the timeline from the draft, like the national championship up until game 1 is really like a month and a half. And you get no training, like you get a couple weeks of training camp, but where is the real time for development and where is the real time for scouting talent? Because watching 3 preseason games, in my opinion, doesn't give you a good look on how these players are actually going to play and fit into your team. Because one player, like we all know how basketball works, you can be hot one game and then the next game you're not hitting on anything. And then the way these coaches do these preseason games, the starters are in up until the third quarter. So how do you get to look at all these rookies and undrafted free agents that need to be getting playing time also? W is the most cutthroat. I agree, man. It's tough out there. They're trying, though. They're trying. All right, so moving on real quick, we are going to talk about my picks for the WNBA. I'm going to give y'all my teams, and then Monday I'll give y'all MVP, comeback player of the year, six woman of the year, stuff like that. So my 4 teams for this season are going to be Atlanta Dream, and a lot of y'all know why if y'all been tapping in with me. Washington Mystics. Yes, I'm going back to the hometown team. And then my sleeper team is actually going to be that Toronto Tempo team. I think they have a lot of good vets and a lot of good. It's just going to depend on the coach if they have that solid structure and if they're going to get to the playoffs. But my sleeper team is the Toronto Tempo. And then I'm going to do something a little different. I have a fun team. A fun team for the WNBA is like a team I just want to watch and see how they develop and basically just want them to have fun. My fun team is going to be the Connecticut Sun. I really, really like that team. Like, it's a bunch of young, not rookies, but a bunch of young players is getting out there hooping, and they're not bad. Like, it's a bunch of hoopers on that team. Will they make the playoffs? We'll have to see. This is their last season in Connecticut before they move to Houston. So who's going to make that Houston squad and stay on the team? So that's going to be my fun team for the season. So give y'all some homework. Give me y'all teams. If you just got one, that's fine. But give me y'all teams for the 2026 season. Send me y'all MVP candidates also. 6 Woman of the Year candidates also. And playoffs. Playoffs is 8 teams. So if you want to send me your playoffs, but we can do that later on down the line. But send me your teams for the WNBA year. And as you see at the bottom, my socials are there. So if you want to DM me on any of those platforms, or if you want to leave a comment on the video, I'll go back and check. And then we can chop it up some more Monday about y'all's teams. All right, my last thing is DC Defenders UFL talk, right? So this Saturday, May 9th, I will be going to the UFL Defenders game at 1:30. They play St. Louis, or is it? Who do they play? They play the Kings at 1:30, right? So I'll be live there in person. I won't be by the beer. I'll be by the beer snake, but I will not be participating in holding the beer snake. So I won't be doing any of that. But I will be live on ground, getting content for y'all. And then Saturday night, I'll come back on the pod. We'll chop it up, and I'll let y'all know how it went. But they are 5-1 right now, so I'm expected to sit in and watch a very good football game. And it's always good to watch some football until our Commanders get ready to kick off. But that's all we have for the corner. DawgTired, Deuce, y'all got anything?
Nope.
But I'm just gonna get in early. You know who my squad is. You know who my MVP is. The GOAT is always the GOAT.
Gotcha. All righty. Appreciate that, Nick. Appreciate that. Fever all the way. I got you. I do have them in my list of playoff teams, but we'll talk about that Monday. But that's all I have for the corner. Remember, when you're done with the lab, you can always come down and kick it at the corner with me. I am your host, Chuck. Thank you very much.
God, I just follow his plan. Even when it hurts, I still stand as a man.
All right. I don't know. Chuck, I know you're excited now. You got like somebody give you feedback in real time. But shout out to y'all the WNBA, man. Shout out to y'all in the WNBA.
What's up, T?
All right, let's get to this interview. Come back to Red Zone. All right, let's get to the Commander. Oh, my bad. All right, that's extremely loud. Turn it down. There you go. So what's good, Mitch? How you feeling, man? We about to get into this interview with Ian Cummings, NFL draft analyst, PFSN. Shout out to him. Thank all of you guys for chopping it up. Appreciate Chuck and DawgTired. Appreciate y'all for contributing. I'm trying to think of I don't know what to thank y'all for. Let me see. Stats contributing. I got to figure out a nice little appreciation phrase for y'all. I'm gonna work on that. I guess Chuck is the only one on the show. Yeah. I think that's about. Listen, like we not doing this in the chats. Like we not doing this in the chat. DawgTired between you and T. Right.
My bad.
We're gonna leave that on X.
Professional. My bad.
Yeah, it's professional. All right, man. Let's about to get up out of here. Take a listen to this interview with Ian Cummings. It's a good one too, y'all. Check it out. Let me see if I can fix this. There's draft, like overall from NFL, NFL draft analyst from the PFSN network. I just want to tell you, Ian, like we really enjoyed the mock draft simulator this season. Like it was like it got to a point where we wasn't even picking at some points. We were just looking through all of the bios and the stat, like hip, like what is it? Hip, what is it called? Hip fluidity? Yeah, like where did that even come from? Like we was like, where did that even come from? But we did have a question, and I literally just remembered it. Because some receivers didn't have that. Only DBs had it, or was it the other way around? I can't remember.
So it was, and this is actually a part of my scale. So the numbers that you see on the HQ pages that get pulled up on the MDS, those are my grading scale numbers, right? Yeah. The subtrait scale. And originally, I really only had hip fluidity as its own category for cornerbacks and safeties, right? Wide receivers, it was kind of a subtrait category for agility, right? So agility, twitch, fluidity. But the more that I've evaluated, I'm pondering building out a category for hip fluidity for receivers too. It is that important. To me, it is somewhat related to agility, right? Because you need to have quick feet to realign your hips and things like that. But the more that I've thought about it, that's one thing. And I audit my grading scale every year to see where I can improve it. That's probably one of the main ones. Is like, does hip fluidity deserve? Because for defensive linemen and edge rushers too, you'll also see like flexibility, right? Bend. That's a part of it too. But that's the main thing. For wide receivers right now, it's a component of agility. But I'm thinking I might adjust that this cycle to give you a more microscopic element. Because you look at these receivers who who succeed at the NFL level, a lot of times, if they're a burner or they're not a burner, right? If they're a big bodied guy or a smaller guy, a lot of times if they don't have hip fluidity, if they don't have fluid hips, if they don't have that ankle mobility too to bend on breaks, there's a good chance that they might not, rise to their level of draft capital. So the answer to the question is, originally it was a component of agility and twitch, but I'm seriously considering making it its own category this year. Of course, we'll have to adjust like the weights around it, to make sure that it all adds up to 100. But seriously considering making that a component because it's important for every position.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I know you really don't have time just to be like, oh yeah, let me add this to my what I need to do. But we will like the public needs it. The public needs it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And hey, that's what we're geared toward at the end of the day. Is I'm
Yeah.
so happy that everyone's enjoying the MDS,
Yeah.
and that's what we're trying to do is just give information for people to explore outcomes. And we've got a full cycle of 2027 on tap where we can keep expanding that. And so that feedback like that is super valuable. So
Yeah.
I'd say, and that's one reason. Like, I know we don't have a lot of time for it, right? The grind never stops, but I feel like it's always important, especially in the summer, to take a step back, audit your grading scale. Like, all right, where can I improve? What were some blind spots for me this past cycle? What can I better quantify? What can I better incorporate? So it's absolutely part of the puzzle for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And if you need any outside input, like always reach out. Like a few of us on the team loves it. We talk about it often when we're doing it, and we really, really enjoy it. All right, let's get to the Commanders draft. Like overall, right? Yeah. What was the vision of Adam Peters just from these picks?
I would say the vision. We only had 6 picks, right? So I think. Yeah. Just by that alone, you have a slimmer margin for error with those picks, right? And this is a Commanders team that was coming off a 2025 season where they made it to the NFC Championship the year before, right? Expectations were high. They may have overinvested in aging, depreciating assets, right? And then they dropped to 5-12, right? Jaden Daniels, his health is a concern this year. Like, I think the timeline accelerated a little bit. I don't think the seat is hot for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. That first year was incredible, right? And I think they deserve some time to right the ship again. But losing an early round pick, obviously the Laramie Tunsil trade has I'd say worked out thus far. You get a quality starter at tackle, but you still need a guy. You still need to infuse the roster with additional talent, right? A lot of the investments that they made at like edge rush didn't work out, right? Wide receiver is still an issue. So I feel like the vision was you only have 6 picks. You have to use them well. You can't reach too much. And what you saw for, I think, almost every pick was they played the value of the board. That's the best way I can describe it, right? Because Sonny Styles was my first overall player. They got him at 7th overall. Antonio Williams was my 33rd overall player. They got him at 71st overall. They got Joshua Josephs, Katron Allen, 2 fringe top 100 guys on day 3. And then they got Matt Gulbin, who I think can compete for the starting center job as well in round 6. So across the board, top to bottom, I think the Commanders had one of the most consistent value drafts. And I think that has to relate to the mindset of Adam Peters, right? Like, hey, we got to make sure we get instant impact guys with the capital that we do have. And I think they succeeded at that. I really do.
When it comes to the best value pick, right? Because like PFSN, like it's all about values. Like when we do the mock drafts at the end, gives you a value. And what, like, I don't know if you added this, and yes, I am like doing all the good stuff for PFSN mock draft simulator, right? It gave us, I don't know what it's called. Help me out. At the end, like depending on the trades that you make, at the end, it totals up the percentages of the trades to let you know if you according to the trade percentage or whatever. Like what is like, break that down so I can know how to explain it.
Yeah. Well, are you talking about the trade value chart?
The trade value chart. Yeah. There it is.
I think it comes from the Rich Hill trade value chart where different assets are assigned different point levels, right? And then you add them up and you see, what the composite value is, right? So you'll see it in the MDS. If you propose a trade, there will be that sliding scale at the bottom. And what that really is like, all right, there is a total trade value points. There is a total between the 2 teams that are involved in the trade that is involved in the trade. This sliding scale tells you what percentage of that total that you're offering or you're being offered. That way you can see what the value is. So, and that factors into the grades of the trades themselves within the MDS.
Yeah, it was very cool. So when it comes to the Commanders and like you say, going to the board to the value, what was the highest value pick that the Commanders made?
Yeah, I would say it's tricky because the value compounds in round 1 for sure. Like if you can get the first overall prospect on the board at 7th overall, like that's incredible value, right? And 33rd overall player, my personal 33rd overall player. I was a big fan of Antonio Williams coming out. That 71st overall, like that's amazing value too. But also, if you get that value in round one, it's tough to beat. And I'd have to lean Sonny Styles just because of how good of a prospect he was and how good the tape was. I mean, you're talking 6'5", over 240, over 32-inch arms, 4.46 speed, former safety. So he's got great coverage ability, right? But then also the ability to come downhill and stack run blocks, right? And play physical in the box, to play gap sound. And then also the ability to blitz, when he's asked to pin his ears back, especially in 2024, right? When he was utilized more as that blitzing weapon, I believe had almost a 30% pass rush win rate on those reps. So again, a guy who's just 3 down, 3 phase, just top to bottom, one of the best prospects at linebacker that we've seen in recent years. And then you hear about his character off the field too. Very good character guy too. Good locker room guy. Going to be one of those players who just makes everyone else around him better. To me, if you can get that value in round one, that's hard to beat. So I say Sonny Styles, I would lean that way. But my honorable mentions, definitely Antonio Williams, getting him at 71st overall. I love his fit alongside Terry McLaurin as that movement Z receiver who can play in the slot, who can play out wide, a little bit smaller for sure. I'd say around average size, a little bit lighter. But again, we talk about hip fluidity. I think he's got some of the best of this in this receiver class when it comes to changing direction, swiveling around on tight angles, on stems, the quickness and the twitch and the foot speed as well to kind of help complement that. It's top tier with him. And then he's a nuanced route runner on top of it. He knows how to manipulate DBs and get them out of place. He can beat man, he can beat zone. And then he's pretty tough and composed at the catch point for a guy with his size too. And having that run after catch ability is also nice too. So I valued Williams as an immediate starter with impact starter potential. And I think the Commanders desperately needed that, you don't have a second round pick. So getting that type of player in round 3 is in my mind bigger than we can expect either. Right. So loved that pick. But also the other honorable mention I'll give is Matt Golpin. He was the top 100 guy on my board. They get him in round 6. Again, I think there's some athletic limitations that, probably factored into his slide, but you watch the film and I think for what is translatable at the NFL level, right? Having that point of attack strength, having the anchor strength, the grip strength, right? The natural leverage, the pad level maintenance and the leverage acquisition, the angle IQ in the run game, but then also being able to process stunts and, pass guys off and pass protection. I think he's a very, very high floor player. And I do expect him to compete for the starting job at the center position for the Commanders. So I love that value as well. Sonny Styles takes the cake for me, but those other two are also equally in consideration.
All right, let's go through each one of these picks and some of the UDFAs, and let's work backwards. Like let's start with Ethan Manners. I'm gonna do Manners because I don't want to butcher his name, right? And we kind of talked about this when you came on the show pre-draft about there was a chance that they might go quarterback in this draft where he's a late round prospect. I'm more so leaning towards I think they made this pick because I think after him 2 quarterbacks were drafted. And I think 5 or something like that was signed. I just didn't think they wanted to go into a bidding war for the quarterback. They knew who they wanted, top quarterback on their board, and they just took it. And from my understanding, what he does is the opposite of what like Jaden Daniels and Mariota gives you. Can you give us a little bit about Matt?
Yeah, so and I believe it's Athen or maybe Athen. I'll be honest, I need to freshen up on that too. But I believe the last name is Kaliak Manis. Athen Kaliak Manis. So he's a guy who, yeah, you're right. I think gives a different kind of flavor at the QB position. And, you had 5 picks already. That late in the draft, it's definitely reasonable to draft a QB, right? Get someone else in the rotation. And I think Kaliak Manis is really interesting in the sense that, well, one, I mean, you look at the future assets at the QB position for the Commanders. Marcus Mariota is going to be a free agent. After the 2026 season, he was re-signed on a 1-year deal. And then they got Sam Hartman in there, who was kind of, again, I'd say an off-season QB, right? I don't see him factoring in the season. I think Kaliak Manis gives you an immediate QB3 who can potentially become the long-term backup if and when Mariota moves on. I think that's a good thing for him. But looking at his journey at the collegiate level, I believe he began his career with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And at Minnesota, you could see the arm talent for sure. I'd say of the backups that were drafted on day 3, I think his arm talent is probably one of the better ones. I think he's got, pretty good velocity generation, really good angle freedom as well. Sidearm, he can adjust his throwing angles, his release points to, manipulate windows or clear contact threats. If defensive linemen are trying to get their length in the gaps to deflect, he's got that ability to manipulate his throwing windows and layer the ball a little bit for sure. Earlier in his career, he was very, very volatile. I mean, a lot of turnover-worthy plays, not the best accuracy and mechanical congruence. But to his credit, he came back and he transferred to Rutgers after 2023 and was a 2-year starter for Rutgers. And in 2025, he put up his best film by far to date. His accuracy improved. Again, can still be a little bit volatile, but I think he improved his mechanics, his mechanical synergy. I think he's still got that arm talent that makes him so compelling. Again, he's not the best creator. He's not the best athlete, mainly a pocket operator for sure. And I do think he can be prone to bad decisions sometimes, forced throws, or maybe he won't see a defender, kind of hawking underneath. But you've got arm talent, you've got toughness, you've got experience, and you've got a growing mechanical profile as well. I think all of those things bode well for him being a really solid QB2 down the line.
So I like when it comes to, I just want to ask, as far as him being mobile and pocket, just so people can understand what I mean by being opposite sides of what Jaden and Mariota is he's more of a pocket quarterback than a mobile quarterback?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think he never had very much rushing production at the collegiate level. I do think he's, there's layers to it, right? Like you can be a relatively nimble pocket operator, but max out pretty quickly in space. And I don't think Kaliakmanis has the heaviest feet, but again, I don't think he's that level of player. Like Jaden Daniels, he's got some Houdini moments on film where he can just shoot through a gap, and then he's got the twitch and the agility, the evasive ability. Kaliakmanis doesn't really give you that. I think he's relatively nimble for his size, but is not the most explosive or dynamic athlete. He's mainly going to be a pocket operator, and that's okay. I think at the backup position, the things that I'm looking for more than anything else is just, can you operate the offense? Can you throw with reasonable accuracy? Can you keep the offense afloat? Can you keep the engine humming? That's the biggest thing. And I think Kaliakmanis, at his maximum potential, can at least give you that.
All right, Matt Gublin.
Yeah, Matt Gublin. He is a guy who was pretty high on my board relative to other guys, I think, who went in his range. He's a player who was he was a starter at guard at Wake Forest before he transferred to Michigan State this past year, played center for them. Around 6'4", I'd say. I'd say playing weight of over 310. He was 305 at the combine, but I think he'll be a little heavier for sure in the NFL. And he's a player who, again, just translatable. I think the anchor strength, I think you look at in the pass protection phase, he is very consistent, very intelligent as well with his angles. Again, he can process stunters and loopers very quickly and pass off and gather when it comes to trying to play in sync with his guards. But then once he latches onto guys, man, his grip strength is really impressive. I mean, he can anchor and just stimmy power rushes just like that. And then he's got the heavy hands to kind of throttle guys and reset the contact point. In run defense, he is a little bit, or as a run blocker, he's a little bit more of I'd say a gap patroller than a puller. Like, he's not the rangiest guy climbing up to the second level. He's not the rangiest guy pulling across the formation, but at the very least, he can seal out gaps. He can give you a guy who's assignment sound and angle sound, and at least has the strength to seal out gaps and the hand power to reset the point as well, the physicality too. So a good player for sure. I think a solid quality player. And I'm looking up some advanced metrics from him right now. He had a PFSN OL impact grade of 92.1 this past season. I believe he had.
So I think he was the highest one, right? I think I saw that you all put that out of all centers.
I believe he was. I believe he was. Yeah. So again, the analytics are very, very strong. Yeah. And then I think he only allowed in terms of, I'm looking for his pressure percentage, his true drop back pressures, he only allowed 4 on the whole year, which is a 1.5% pressure rate. So again, just really consistent, not the most dynamic athlete again, but a guy who's going to give you, I think, the functional traits, the operational traits that you need to, at the very, my personal opinion is that he can compete for the starting center job. But even if he doesn't win it, he has extensive experience at the guard position too. So he gives you position versatile depth as well if he's not a starter.
Katron Allen. Now, I don't know if you heard the quote, right? But he said, he was comping himself, and he said, well, of old, Adrian Peterson and Le'Veon Bell, and he said of new, Jahmyr Gibbs. And he said somebody else. I don't remember. I don't know if you heard that or not. But what is your thoughts?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that out his own mouth.
The Jahmyr Gibbs one might be ambitious for him. I'll say that. I think they'll both be pretty ambitious. But hey, I'd rather you be confident in your abilities, right? That's one thing. But Kaytron Allen, to me, I'm trying to think. I didn't get around to finding a comp for him. If I could give an archetypal comp, maybe that David Montgomery type of comp where he's mainly a volume back. I don't see him, being as dynamic in the pass game. I will say though, even going back to 2024, I think his route tree gets overlooked sometimes. I think you've got some angle routes, some Texas routes. He can make himself available in the flats. He's a good weapon on screens with that contact balance. Again, he's not the most explosive, but I do think his vision, his cutting flexibility, his physicality, those things bode well for him. And I think he's a dutiful pass blocker too. But as a volume back, I had him again as a fringe top 100 guy. To get him where they did, I think you're looking at a very translatable volume runner, where not only is he physical, he's well leveraged, he's got great mass on his frame, but he is very again. He was sharing that backfield with Nick Singleton, and Nick Singleton I think is the more explosive of the two for sure. But watching them as runners, it's night and day. I don't think Nick Singleton had the creative instincts, the vision, even the cutting flexibility that Kaytron Allen did. I think Allen, for a guy who's kind of similar mass, is a lot more fluid in his hips than Singleton. Singleton's pretty stiff in his midsection, but with Kaytron Allen, you have a guy who can hit the hole fast and finish with physicality at the second level, but he also has some weaving ability, some jump cut ability through crowds and stuff like that, and the instincts to manage spacing to his liking. And I think that's going to be a really good asset for him at the next level. Again, I think the reason he fell is because again, he just doesn't quite have that dynamic north-south athleticism, right? And he doesn't have that elite pass down versatility, but I do think he's functional in that phase. And what he gives you as a runner is just a really solid, translatable, high floor profile. So it's kind of a broken record line for me, but he's another day 3 pick for the Washington Commanders, who I expect to factor into the rotation heavily early on. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the stretch in the season, he's a guy who takes on additional volume week over week and maybe takes on the highest volume share of that RB room. So it's going to be fun to see. I thought that was another great value pick. I think as a volume runner, I think he plays with physicality, but also more than that, he's not just a short yardage back. He's not just a guy who's going to put his head down and shoulder charge. He's a guy who has really real creative instincts and vision, and that underpins his game, not the physicality. So a really good player.
Joshua Joseph, he was upset, right? You can tell. He didn't expect to fall where he did. A lot of people had him higher than where he went for sure. But what is your take on Joshua Joseph?
Yeah, he was a player who, again, same deal for me too. A lot of people were expecting him to go earlier. I was too. I had a top 100 grade on him. And again, as it pertains to the Dan Quinn scheme, I don't think he's going to be an instant impact guy to the level that I would expect from Kaytron Allen. I think with Joshua Joseph's, the one thing is that he definitely needs to add a little bit more mass to his frame. Even if he can just get to 250 pounds, right? At the collegiate level, he was 6'3", high 230s, low 240s. He's got to add some more mass, but he's got over 34-inch arms. He's very, very long for his frame. And I think that proportional length helps him out a lot. I think you'll see in the pass rushing phase, he's got the burst and the bend to reduce beneath the arc to apex run. And then he flashes really exciting hand usage too, where he can use that length to get inside the tackle's torso with bull rushes and long arms, or he can execute double swipes, cross chops to get around the apex, right, while using that ankle mobility, that hip flexibility. So there are a lot of exciting traits. And then in run defense too, while I do think he can add more mass, improve his play strength to, avoid getting displaced. He's not the most powerful edge setter, right? But he is, I would say, very leverage sound, where he knows how to play with controlled lean, align his base, and fully extend into blockers to at least, reset the contact point after stacking. And then he does have some backside pursuit ability too. The main thing with Joshua Josephs, and this is probably more as a pass rusher than a run defender. I think he's a pretty good run defender for his size, in all honesty. But as a pass rusher, and again, part of this probably relates to the lacking mass, right? Where the power element was not really consistent. There were some times when I thought the pass rush, the counter plan wasn't always consistent. And if he couldn't win with his first move, being a lighter guy, he's a little bit easier to gather, right, by stronger offensive tackles. So you're really looking for two things from him at the NFL level. You're looking for him to be a little more consistent with his overall execution as a pass rusher, as an attacker. But then also he does need to add a little bit more mass, I think, before he can be an every down defender. So I like him a lot as a rotational ad for the Commanders, who, after they signed Adafe Owa, I believe they got Clavon Chazon as well, who was kind of reemergent with the Patriots this past year. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Joshua Josephs to be an immediate impact player, which is nice. I think he can function as a rotational guy pretty well right out of the gate, as he adds more mass and play strength and ideally becomes more consistent with his pass rush arsenal. A really good mid-round pick, a really good developmental mid-round pick. We'll see if he can reach that ceiling. But I do think the palette of tools that you're working with, the explosion, the bend, the length, the finesse, the run defense, the motor as well, those things are all there. So it's a lot to build around. You still need to wait and see if the full puzzle can come together. But in round 5, to me, that's as good a dart throw as any.
So get into Antonio Williams, and I know you loved Antonio Williams, but to me, like, not just with you and you all at PFSN, but a lot of major outlets that cover the draft really love the Commanders draft. And for us to only have 2 top 100, and you out of your own mouth just said we had at least 3 that was top 100 and 1 fringe. So it seems like just by the value itself that we had a first, a second, third, and a 4th round pick. But Antonio Williams.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I will probably summate it here, but later on, but I thought the Commanders probably had one of the best 5 classes that I can pinpoint in this draft. I was a big fan of what they did, and I was as critical as anyone about what they did in free agency last year. Again, I don't think it was what they needed to do, and to rebound the way that they did. When you go all in and it doesn't work out, the best thing you can do is reassess and make things right. And I think they did that. And Antonio Williams, I think, can be a big part of that. He was a player who, in the preseason for me, was getting some round 1 hype for sure. I think he was a guy who was hampered a little bit by the Clemson passing attack, the inconsistency there under center. But you watch the film and, again, a guy who was like 5'11 and a half, I think 187, shorter arms for sure. But he plays up beyond that size. And I think more importantly, at the NFL level, separation is king. You need to be able to separate independently against man and zone. And Antonio Williams is a full route tree. In the short range, he's got drag routes, he's got whips, he's got the quick slants and the in breakers, the outbreakers, the speed outs. But at the intermediate level too, I think he's got really good retraction ability and deceleration on curls and hitches. And then he's got some ability of stemming on the vertical plane as well. I think he's mostly going to be a guy who dices up defenses in the short and intermediate ranges, but that can be a really good thing for you because he's target funnel on must-have it downs. He's got the toughness working over the middle in spite of his size. And then he's got the ability to take schemed rack targets as well on motions and on sweep motions and jet motions and things like that. So a really versatile, well-versed player who, in spite of his lacking size, maybe he's not an elite vertical athlete. I think he's got enough speed and burst. And then to contend with that too, all of the functional mobility traits that you need at the NFL level, the short area twitch, the foot speed, the hip fluidity, the ankle mobility, all of those things I think are elite with Antonio Williams too. So I'm a big fan of the player. My comp for him has actually been not the Steve Smith who played with Carolina, but the other Steve Smith who played with the New York Giants and was a really consistent player. I think that can be kind of the outcome for him. And with Terry McLaurin stretching the field, stretching defenses thin, again, hopefully Terry McLaurin, you're hoping that he can get back to 100% this year. Obviously dealt with some injuries this past year, but if you can get 100% Terry McLaurin alongside Antonio Williams, to me, that's a really, really good 1-2 punch. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
I love it. Sonny Stop. So I don't know if you see, like, a couple of days after the draft, Harbaugh said that they're going to play Arvell Reese at weak side and middle linebacker. So then it that seed created the Arvell Reese was always the better Mike linebacker out of the draft. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with the Mike linebacker aspect. Is that just kind of like the discourse now that he said that?
Yeah.
I would say Arvell Reese definitely. I would say, I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this. The better Sam linebacker, I think. I don't think he's the Mike for sure. He didn't have any experience with the green dot at the Ohio State defense. He was always at his best, in my opinion, pinning his ears back and attacking downhill. Whether that's attacking the front side tackle, trying to get out on a wide zone look, or attacking a puller coming across the formation, or slapping a tight end and just compressing the formation entirely. That stacking strength and power with Arvell Reese, I think, is the true weapon that he has. But then at the same time, he's a good processor. I don't want to get that mixed up. I do think he understands his assignment. He can key in on blocking schemes quickly and attack with that confidence because of that. And I do think that at the same time, too, you see the pursuit reps, right? When he's a QB spy running guys down to the boundary, he's like an apex predator, man, with his closing speed and his ability to wrap guys up, too. So to me, Arvell Reese is that run and chase, attacking Sam. That's always been his best fit. You put the responsibilities of the mic on him right now. I don't know if he's going to be able to excel in that role right away. I'm not ruling out that he could down the line, but to me, Sonny Styles has more of that in his toolbox. I think more often you saw Sonny Styles playing the mic and the will at the Ohio State defense. Now, he's a former safety who's only a few years into his linebacker career, right? So it's one of those things where even now at the floor that he has, there's still room for him to get more and more comfortable with it. Yeah. And I do think you saw that sometimes, like when the gap looks are a little bit muddier, you do see some hesitation with Sonny Styles, right? I think he's a great processor. He has room to reach that elite level tier. He's not quite there yet as a gap processor between the tackles. He can get there for sure. But I do think Sonny Styles was still, a little bit more of the vocal leader on the interior of the defense. And Caleb Downs obviously was also a guy who played that role for them. But Sonny Styles to me was more of that guy for sure. So I think if the discourse is that Arvell Reese is the better Mike, I don't agree with that. I do think there is a role where Reese is better, and that's the attacking Sam with stacking power, with blitzing versatility. I do think he's better in that role. But I think Sonny Styles, to me, is probably the better every down linebacker. Again, not getting it twisted, they were both top 3 prospects for me this year. They were both two of the best linebacker prospects I've ever evaluated. So it's just a role preference. I think Sonny Styles is more of the Mike and Will. Arvell Reese is more of the Sam. And I think the Commanders, for what they needed, I mean, there is a case to make that Arvell Reese would have been he would have obviously been a phenomenal pick. He would have given you a different blend for sure. He wasn't there, unfortunately. But I think they made out really well with Sonny Styles either way.
Did you have a chance to kind of peek back to Sonny Styles as the safety when he was going through his film?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to. I was mainly looking at 2024 and 2025. Because he was because I spoke with someone from OSU last week, and because I was kind of curious if they made that move because Downs was coming over, or he said no, like they were going to make that move regardless because he just couldn't fit. Like he was dominating in high school, but up here it's like he just couldn't grasp the position as fast as they would hope. So that's why a lot of times, so a lot of times when I think about Sonny Styles, we think, oh, he played safety, he converted to safety. It wasn't that he was great at it and he just happened to come down. It was just that he couldn't grasp it. So a lot of us is like, oh yeah, we got one of the best coverage linebackers in it. Yeah. And it's like, and that's the thing. Like, I think there are certain things that he does take over from safety. Like I'd say as a linebacker, his blind spot IQ is really good. Like I think he understands how to position himself in 2-on-1s. He has a good feel for route concepts working around him, and he can read the QB's eyes and things like that. It's those certain principles too. But then you see people comping him to Fred Warner, right? Who's like the best coverage linebacker maybe ever in the NFL. Right. I can't go that far, right? Because I do think there are times on Sonny Styles' film where I don't think he's quite as fluid as Fred Warner. He's still really fluid for his size, but the comp that I've stuck with, and again, there's kind of there's 2 caveats here, because 1, this player was heavily impacted by injuries, and 2, Sonny Styles is faster in a straight line for sure. But like Leighton Vander Esch, I think is a really
I've seen that a lot.
Where Vander Esch was a really, really competent coverage linebacker who understood blind spot IQ and zone depth discipline, but he was even more proficient coming downhill in run defense and on the chase, right? Because he's got that stacking strength, that size, that closing speed, and just the ability to read and react and make plays. So again, Sonny Styles, when I say former safety, it's more just like kind of emphasizing the floor. Some linebackers come to the NFL and they can't fit in coverage. Sonny Styles can, but then even then, I also think the former safety line can have a little bit of a counter effect where you also forget what else I'd say he's even better as a downhill defender. So
yeah, I agree. All right, the UDFAs, which I think is also an important component to kind of filling out your roster, right? And you really can get a lot of value from these guys. Let me ask you, has any one of these guys that they brought on was draft worthy to you?
Their UDFA, I had it pulled up. So Robert Henry Jr. from UTSA was
another
one
thumper.
guy. Yeah, well, actually, he's 5'9", 205, so he is over 200. So he's got some good compact density, but I have him as more of kind of like a dancing agility creation guy.
Oh, interesting.
I think he's pretty explosive. I think he's pretty twitched up and agile and fluid for sure. And I do really like his vision and his creative instincts. And he does have some measured receiving versatility. I don't know how well he's going to translate as a pass blocker, which is a UDFA RB in a RB room that has multiple guys now. I mean, you got Katron Allen, you got Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, you've got Rashad White, and I believe they might have someone else.
Ford,
Jerome Ford. Yeah, that's right. So a lot of guys to compete for real estate. I ultimately don't know if Henry's going to have everything he needs, but as a runner, as a pure creative runner, I do think he's pretty twitched up, agile, fluid. And I did like his processing ability too. That was one thing I liked a lot. So I was kind of surprised he went undrafted, but the size could do it. The uncertain pass down profile could also do it. So we'll see, but I think he could be an option. Chris Hilton Jr. from LSU is another one, 4.4 speed, really good speed guy. Not a ton of production at the collegiate level though. Had some return experience, which that may be an avenue to make the roster. As a receiver, I think he's a little inconsistent. The route tree is still developing. He doesn't have the best hip fluidity or sink over top breaks, and he can be a little stiff, uncoordinated on redirections. So definitely a work in progress as a receiver. But I do think as a kind of return specialist, if you need it, like he's got some intriguing qualities for sure. But I also think he might level out as a practice squad guy. I'm looking down their list now. I'm making sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Jeffrey Mba is interesting from SMU. Very raw. But again, 6'5", I think
he's huge, man.
300, over 300. He's got long arms too. So again, long, powerful, has some explosive elements to his game. But again, just raw. But he's a guy that if you need a defensive tackle to kind of muddy gaps and reset the contact point, at the very least, he can do that. So developmental option for you as well. And then Jaden Bradley from UNLV is one more guy who's kind of intriguing. He's got a very nice mix of, having the size at 6'3", 203. You got the speed is not great, right? I think near 4.6, 40-yard dash, and that shows up on film. But a 7.13 cone, which is pretty good for his size for sure. Good explosiveness numbers. I think he's another one to maybe keep an eye on because this receiver room, even though they got Antonio Williams,
it's 2 through 9 up for competition.
For sure, it's still pretty thin. So I think one of these UDFA receivers I could see rising to the top, and I think Jaden Bradley is probably the one I put my money on.
Our kicker Drew Stevens. Like that's my most exciting. That's my most exciting pick.
Right. I totally forgot about him, man. But he's got a big leg as well. That's an interesting one. I like it.
I like that. All right, we're about to get out of here, Ian. But I do have a question because, of course, I don't know if you follow Commander's Twitter, but once we picked Antonio Williams, the height conversation came up again, right? Like as if we have like 2-3 Megatrons, 2-3 into AJ Browns and Mike Evans. They just Julio Jones, like they're just out there, right? Like that's the conversation. But I put the question out about, what would you rather have, a receiver that separates or a receiver with height? So I want to ask you, what translates better to the NFL, a receiver that can separate, that doesn't have height, or a receiver with height that can't separate?
Receiver who can separate, who doesn't have height.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10.
I thought that was easy, but it's not, man.
Think about it, man. Listen. Height, size is a good thing to have, and I'm not just caping for the other short kings out there. I promise. But no, it's important to have in respect. But look at it this way: most, if not all, of the 6'3", 6'2", 6'3 plus, 200 plus pound receivers that we have that we look back on fondly, right? You know, Julio Jones being the top one, Jeremiah Smith coming out this next year, all of the big bodied guys out there, Nico Collins, Drake London, the guys in the NFL right now, they're big. They can separate too. The guys that can't separate, they get washed out pretty quickly, right? So I think separation, whether you're big or small, and there's different ways to do it. If you're big, you have more size and physicality that you can rely on to separate in man situations. Yeah, but you still have to be able to separate. You still have to have those kind of those micro traits that, again, like we talked about at the very beginning, right? And this is one reason that I'm heavily considering, and I just got to figure out a way. I got to figure out how to reorganize my grading scale. But once I do, hip fluidity will be in there because that's very important. Ankle mobility is insanely important, right? Agility and twitch, quickness to recalibrate your base. Those and also to like execute jab steps and rocker steps. You know, the more malleable and adaptable you are in your lower half, the more you can get DBs off their place and manipulate spacing, right? Or steer through gaps in zone, right? While keeping speed. You have to have those separation building blocks. It's easier for smaller guys to have them, right? Because they're just built that way. But whether you're big or small, you have to have them. And I'm not saying that small guys, just because they can separate, they can succeed. You still got to be tough. You still got to be able to make plays at the catch point. You still got to be able to play up beyond your size sometimes and be proactive. And that's why it's easier for bigger guys to play the catch point, obviously. But separation is the common thread. You have to have that to some degree, right? And even if like you're not an elite separator, like if you're alignment versatile as well, if you can fulfill multiple roles, like I think that's a big reason that Puka Nacua emerged the way that he did in Sean McVay's offense, is because he had the separation upside, the building blocks, but also the versatility where you can play outside, inside, and still run routes from those places or off motions, right? So you have to be versatile. I think having a full route tree, the separation building blocks, that helps with that. But that separation is, to me, if you're going to be a receiver, if you're going to be a productive receiver in the passing game, separation is king over size.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Ian. And let us know, like, what are you working on? What's out there? Any writings? Because I saw the way too early 2027 mock draft out there. But what else are you working on?
Yeah, so the way too early 2027 NFL mock draft, that was the most recent thing that I put together, and I'm pulling it up here because I do want to try and give a teaser here for the Commanders. I had them picking Charlie Becker, Indiana wide receiver, in round 1. So adding to that receiving core, and again, Charlie Becker, we talk about size, we talk about separation ability. He might be a guy who has both. So again, very excited to keep watching him. I had them picking a safety in round 2, and then in round 3, I had them picking an edge as well. So again, a lot of good talent on tap for next year. But that's going to be my main focus for the weeks and months to come, is just more 2027 NFL draft study. We have rolled over the PFSN 2027 mock draft simulator, so almost 500 guys in there, and we're getting more and more written reports in there every day, every week. Like I said, I'm going on PTO in a couple of weeks, but I'm hoping by that time we have scouting reports for at least the top 64 guys in there. So you'll be able to sift through and get some early study in on the 2027 class, what it has to offer, what our initial grades are, and then what your team might be able to do based on where the projected. Which, by the way, just getting this out of the way now, the draft order is set by the Super Bowl odds. So no one sets the draft order. No one has it out for your team. That's just what is projected.
We were 14, I think. Was it 14?
I think it's 11.
11. Okay,
yeah,
so it was 14. Okay, yeah, cool.
But I think they have the potential to do that for sure. But yeah, mainly right now it's 2027 study. I'm also doing some redrafts with Jacob Infante, my good friend at PFSN on Twitter, which those are fun to kind of look back and kind of assess what could have been. But there's a lot of off-season stuff right now. So if you got, like, those of you watching, if you have any feedback at all for the mock draft simulator for the NFL Draft HQ, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I always try to be responsive. Or if you have questions about the 2027 class and who might be out there, I got that for you too. So it's a long haul. It's a grind. We're back on it again. But it's a lot of fun as well. So, and always a good time chopping it up with you, talking Commanders football. I have a soft spot for them, having covered them in the past before. So I'm hoping they bounce back this year, and I'm optimistic after the class they put together.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate your time. We know it's of value for you to spend it with us. We absolutely appreciate it. For everyone out there, thank you for listening. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, One love.